Hello, friends. Join me as I try to make a Last of Us book nook for my friend. I'm trying really hard to do a subtle Ellie Last of Us 2 cosplay. If my hair was shorter, I feel like I could get there. So we are so close to the premiere of season 2 of The Last of Us, and I am so incredibly excited. But my friend Tony is more excited. She's in love with these games. She loves them so much that when she came to Pittsburgh, we did a special Last of Us Pittsburgh tour where we went to all of the places that were kind of highlighted in the video game. So I decided I was going to make her a book nook based on The Last of Us with my miniature obsession, just to learn a little bit more, see if I could do it, but not just any Last of Us, a scene from the Pittsburgh thing of Last of Us. So the water, the skyscrapers, the bridge in the background. So join me as I try to do that. I will make some mistakes. Oh, by the way, if you're here for me crafting, just know that I'm a messy crafter. I'm going to have paint everywhere. It's going to be on my hands. But that's kind of the fun of it. But if you're looking for neat crafting, you may need to find another channel. But enjoy. Once again, we are going to be using our Book Nook kit that we got from Michael's as our base. And like I said before, these are pretty good, except they don't necessarily fit well together. So we will have some gaps that we'll need to deal with, but it will give us the basic structure that we are looking for. So we'll set those up. My plan is to have the Pittsburgh Bridge at the very back, the sides to be the sky, and then also the skyscrapers after I paint them. And then the ceiling will just be a basic sky, and then the floor, quote unquote, will be the water. Now, the interesting thing is where this all came from. I found these cute little bottles on Etsy, so I had to buy them and make a Last of Us book nook. So with those, there's two things in Last of Us you can throw. You can throw bottles and you can throw bricks. So I bought the bottles, so I need to make the bricks. So for a lot of the accessories, I'm going to be using Super Sculpey in the oven for these. So I'm going to make these little bricks that match the size of the bottles. I think some of the bricks I'm going to end up making a little bit bigger, but I'm so excited to kind of make these bricks. I'm going to have some of them not float in the water, but be in the water, and then some of them coming out of the water. This will be an interesting book nook because it will all be about perspective, and I'm not the best at that. I remember not getting a great grade in that in elementary school, so I'm going to try my darndest. But yeah, so I'm going to try to make these mostly the same size, but maybe some a little bit bigger so they could be in the front of the book nook. Now once all of those are done, I'm going to also be using Super Sculpey to make my skyscrapers, just because I want them to stand out a little bit, and I could use cardboard, but I also have this Sculpey and need to use it. So I'm going to roll it out here using this very high-tech rolling pin, which is actually just my paint can, but it gets the job done. And I want the skyscrapers to be different sizes and shapes, and then I'll paint them different colors, and then I'm going to try to cover them in moss, so different sizes, shapes. The interesting thing about the Last of Us skyscrapers is that if you look at them from afar, they're a little bit hard to tell what they are. And so just to kind of give them a little bit of anonymity if I can, and then make sure that they are still big enough to go on my wall, but not so small that they cover it up. The one thing I want to have is the one sign front that's the Warner or the Warren, depending on if you're really in Pittsburgh or if you're in the game. So to make that side front so you're able to see it when you peek into the book nook, and then to also separate these skyscrapers a little bit. this is the apocalypse, so these skyscrapers and these buildings are going to be a little crooked. They're not going to be as put together. And then once these are all done, I'm going to bake them in the oven. This Super Sculpey said 250 for 15 minutes. And then once those are done, I'm going to paint them and cover them in some fake moss, and hopefully that gives them more of a look that they've been sitting out and the elements have taken over. And here are my finished skyscrapers. They are painted and they are covered with some moss, so they look like they've been sitting in the elements for a while. And then the last thing is that this little bit of skyscraper would be on the side, so I'm going to put that sign from the game on here. So Warren, depending on if you're actually in Pittsburgh or you're playing the video game. But I'm going to go with Warner, mainly because that's just what I decided at the time. So now that that's done and our skyscrapers are finished and our buildings are finished, we're gonna try to create a Joel and an Ellie. So I got these little tiny miniatures that kind of look like them from the back. I'm gonna have them looking at the bridge, but I'm gonna paint them a little bit. So as we know, Joel is wearing a nice green shirt, so I'm just gonna paint this green. Should have got a smaller brush for this, if I'm being honest, but I didn't, so this is not nicest way to do this, but I'm learning, I'm growing. And then while that dries, I have this one that could be Ellie. Now I'm gonna paint the legs green. She has a skirt, but you're not gonna see it from afar. And then Ellie has that pink reddish shirt that she wears with the green shirt underneath it. So here's the pink, and then I'm gonna put the green sleeve so it looks like she has an undershirt. There we go. And that's going to be our Ellie from afar, so they'll be staring off onto the bridge. Beginning to assemble, we have sky, 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 bridge, so we're going to take that bridge one and we're going to put Ellie and Joel staring off to the bridge, and then put this all together. Now there's some of the buildings that I need to redo, but the main thing I need to do is the water. So to do the water, I found a diorama recipe, which is toilet paper, glue, and paint. So I started to put that together. I'm not too thrilled with this watercolor, but it is what it is. We're learning. It was too late now. And then I put in the bottles and the bricks to give it a little bit more of that Last of Us quality. And then it's time for the reveal. Looking at the book Nook, I think the one thing that I'm a little disappointed with is the color of the water, but I'm learning. So I think if I were to redo it, I would really try to figure out the color of the water to make sure that it was more in line with the video game as a whole. I would also try to find a way to light the book Nook because there wasn't any kind of ethereal lighting. It was supposed to be, very post-apocalyptic. I didn't have an idea for that. So I think those are the two things that I would change. I hope Tony likes it. I sent it to her today. I hope this video gave you a little bit of joy. The world is wild out there. So keep finding joy, and I'll see you next video.